Hey, hello developers, welcome back to Bifine and I'm Sadek back again with another tutorial on Node.js chat applications. Now we will be installing AdonisJS API only framework, and then we will go through the migrations and all the process. So if you are not familiar with this framework at all right now, it's okay, it's totally okay. I will go through almost all kind of basics so that you can understand almost everything. So let's get started with the installations first. So here, if you have not installed AdonisJS CLI yet, so you need to install this one first, and then you can create a new project like that. So you will have a command called Adonis, so you will be able to use that. But in order to use that, you need to install the CLI first. So I have installed my CLI, and then you will see an important message here that you can customize this by using the option API only. So this is the only framework we need. We don't need the full framework because we will be using nuxt.js in our front end, so we don't really need that. So let's use the API only. So how to install it? Adonis new chat, and then we can say API only, and this should install only the API version of this framework. So this means it will include all templating engines that we're not going to use, and a lot of other boilerplate codes will be removed from the simpler one, okay, because this is already slim. So the AdonisJS is getting installed. Now let's talk about the database and the migration. We have a database here. I will be making a little bit changes here so that you can have a support in future if you'd like to do the group chat, so you can do it. Sorry for that. So yeah, I do have my framework has already been installed. So let's go through the framework a little bit and see the overview of it. So we have it here, and then let's open this folder in the project VS Code and see the project structure. So this project structure is really nicely done and opening at it. So that means that everything will have their own places really nicely. So the router API starts from here. So you can see we can hit the slash and we will get a JSON out of here. And everything you write, including the models are your tables and you can access them. So this is by default you have a user model created, and then you can see some boilerplate code here. So ad hoc is something that before you save something or create something, your password will be hashed. So this is nice, and you have a token table as well. Let's go through the database and the migrations file. So you have two migrations here. If you don't know what is a migration, that's fine. This is a simpler way to create tables. And normally you go to your PHP admin or SQL Pro, and then you create a table, so that you can do it from your migration files as well. So this is much simpler as well. So let's go through how to create some table first. But before we go to before we move on to creating the table, we must create a database because we need to insert those table into a database. Let's call it chat. I hope we don't have a database yet. That's fine. Now that's interesting, and we have here, let's see, we need to configure our .env file. So the env environment variable will be here. So the project will be running on this port, okay, and it will be in development mode. Okay, so our database name is chat and it's using SQLite. It should be MySQL, and we have not installed MySQL for this project yet, so we have to go and install it. So let's create it. npm install MySQL. It should save, but let's have the save as well here. So that's fine. Now when we create a migration, it should be able to make a connection with the database and create the necessary tables that we need. Okay, so right now we have a user table and we don't need much information in the user table, as you can see. So if I show you what is this default migrations mean, is that we are taking a field in the users table. One more thing, if you are not familiar with migrations, that whenever you look at that, the table name is called users, but your model name is user. So this is singular and the table is plural. So this is a design choice and it's really useful as well. So if you will always try to make your model singular, and the migration will be automatically created as a plural, and the table will be a plural as well. So you need to keep that in your mind. So here it says we are taking a field of data type string and maximum length 80, not nullable, which it cannot be null, and it must be unique. So that's simple, self-explanatory. You don't have to explain a lot. So you can go through their documentation and you can see different migrations. Yeah, here not nullable, in table, a lot of cool things here. So you can go through the documentation and learn, but we will learn some easy stuff here. So let's go ahead. We don't need username here, so instead of username we will create this increment mean we will have a id field, primary key, and timestamp created and updated. So you were getting 3 by default fields. One is id and the other 2 is created it and updated it. So these are also required. I mean, it's actually required in the project, so it's not mandatory to include in your project. Okay, so I'm going to have a full name and length, let's keep it 100, and it's not nullable, but it's not unique. One person can have multiple a similar name. So we have email here, nullable and unique, so we need that. And let's keep the password as well here. So what else do we need here? So we need, let's copy this one, and we need one more field for the profile pic. Okay, so we are going to take this, and this is not going to be null, so this is again not nullable, and we will have a default picture. So we can have a default picture, and this picture can be PNG. So we say default 2, so that means we will have a default value already. Okay, I think we're fine with the user table, but let's see what we have here. I think it's totally fine right now. So how do we create a table now? So if I show you in my database, I have a chat database, but I don't have any tables yet. So now we have 1 and 2. We have 2 migrations. So if we go ahead and run this migration using a terminal, we will be able to get the 2 tables here in our database. So how do we run a migration? That's simple command adonis migration run. This is very simple, and once you hit enter, it should create 2 tables for you. Perfect, we have 2 tables created successfully. Now if I refresh, I should see my users table and the token tables. So I'm not sure if tokens table if we are going to use or not, but let's keep that for now. And we can see what we have in our database table, the full name, and you see the default one, upload speak.png, and we have by default created and add and updated a date and time, and the primary key id integer. So that's fine. Now let's create a new model, and this model is inbox. So we are going to create this table and see how we can create it. So one thing I really prefer in Laravel and the AdonisJS is that they are very similar. So I can create the model and the migrations all together, and I really like this way instead of creating all of them separately. So this is how you create a model. So Adonis make model. So since the table should be singular, it should be actually, so it's a design choice, everyone should be familiar with. So the model will be inbox, and I'm passing -m, which means it will create a model file here under the model folder, under app and then model folder, and then it will create inbox.js, and again it will create another migration file inside here. So it will do 2 tasks together. So let's go ahead. So here we go. It has created one model file in the inbox.js, and it has also created a migration schema here. So we have the migration here. Let's go ahead and add some fields here. So let's see what field do we have here. Perfect, we have this one. So for just learning purposes, I have not taken so much input here, but I hope you can extend this chat application for as you need. So we're going to have a field called user ID, and there should be an integer. So let's call it user ID. So this is again normally I will be writing all of my field like that, camel case, like first name. But for the foreign keys, since user ID is a foreign key referencing on user table, so I will be using all the foreign keys, the table name first, then underscore, and then ID. It has by default some benefits as well. It comes with quite some advantage because the AdonisJS framework actually works this way. So it will it will do some assumption on behalf of you. So it's really useful. Okay, so you can name it however you want, but I would prefer this way. So integer, and since it should not be a negative value, so we can say unsigned. I hope I have the spelling correctly done. Unsigned, and it cannot be nullable. So not nullable. Let me check if it is. Okay, I'm pretty much just like that. Not nullable, and it should be a foreign key references ID, and where it is referencing, it's referencing in user table. So you have one more here that is called in table. Okay, in table. So we're referencing in table, and the table name is users. And what we do if the user is deleted, so we can say, okay, on delete cascade. So with what on this means that when the user is deleted, we will be deleting this row as well. So it doesn't make sense to keep them. But we have another table that says integer, and here this is the sender ID. You can make it a foreign key, but I would like to keep it nullable as well, because if it is a group chat, then we can have it left blank, and it will be useful as well, so that we can do easily the group chat as well. I will explain these things later in the video, I mean in the incoming videos. So for now, let's keep it this way, very simple. So sender ID, and this is going to be unsigned as well, and it's nullable. Do we have to explicitly define if it is nullable or not nullable? Let's keep it. It should be nullable. Perfect. Now what we have here then, last message. So this should be a string, and this code should be called last message, and it can have a total of let's see, I don't know, but let's keep it of with 150 characters. So we will be doing dot 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 after that, and this cannot be nullable. So it has to be not nullable, because we must add some informations there. And we have scene here, so scene should be boolean data type, so it can use string integer, and default to, we can use default to 0 or false, which means it's not seen. And then we have another field called deleted, so this can be same as well. And then we have unseen number, so that is going to be an integer as well. So this can be an integer and unseen numbers, and that's definitely going to be unsigned, because it's not going to be I mean it's not going to be negative value. So, and default to 0. So that's really fine for now. Let's go ahead and create a do the migration again. Adonis migration run. It should create the inbox table. Here you go. We have the inbox table, and we have, if we go to the relationships, we will see the user ID is referenced to the user table. Okay, so that's really nice. Perfect. Now we need to create another table, and that's the chat table. That's simple and straightforward. Okay, we have missed one information. You can go ahead and I will simply they have something called migration refresh or something like that. Migration I mean, you can refresh the migrations again. I don't know, schema. Wait. Okay, let's do the refresh. We want to add one more. We have not added any data, so we are totally safe. Inbox hash, it can be a string. So we can say that inbox hash, and it should not be nullable. So let's go ahead. Let's see, refresh. Perfect, it has created all the tables again. So refresh, don't run the refresh if we have data, because it will reset. It will delete all the tables and it will recreate them, all of them again. So here you go. In inbox table we have inbox hash now. Perfect. Now we need to do the chat tables. Let's go ahead and create a chat model. Adonis make model chat, and then we create a migration as well. We have the chat migration here. So here, let's see what database we have. The sender ID. We need the sender ID. You can take the receiver ID as well if you would like, but I'm skipping it for now. We don't need. But you can find some useful cases where you would need it. Okay, so let's use it, sender ID, and it should be references ID, and it should be unsigned, because it's not going to be negative. If you don't use unsigned, it might not do the relationship as well, and then it will take some extra spaces in your database and waste a lot of database resources, so you should do it accordingly. Unsigned references user table, and where it's referencing it in users table. And what do we do if this user is deleted? So if the user is deleted, we no longer need to store their chat information in the system. So we do this one on delete cascade. So you don't have to delete the chat if the user is deleted, because MySQL will do it for you automatically. That's totally fine. Now let's go ahead and create the message. I think it should be text. I hope it has a text data type. So it has a text data type here as well, because the message can be a little longer. So let's keep that. And message cannot be empty, so, or can it be? Okay, let's keep it not nullable. So the message, sorry, I was using Laravel syntax here. That's not good. Find and meta. So table dot text again, because we will be storing. It should be nullable because we may not have file. So similarly, it goes for the meta information as well. This can be null as well. So we have some unused spaces here and deleted user ID. This is going to be important. So table text, not text, it should be an integer, and we can say deleted user ID. It can be nullable, and then it's definitely going to be an unsigned. Perfect, so it's going to be nullable from the beginning, and that's really it. Our simple yet powerful chat application. So let's run the migration here again. Adonis migration run. Perfect. We have our chat table already created here. So that's really nice. Okay. So here we have created our migration files, and now let's see. Let's run our application actually. So if you check their documentation in the installation page, that you can just run Adonis serve dev, so it will run your application on this port that is defined in your env file. So let's go ahead and test it as well. Adonis serve --dev. So it's now serving on here. I will just show you some example. So what's happening here? Hello world in JSON. So that's really nice. It's getting it's serving us the content. Normally, if you install the full application, I mean with chat or the templating engine, you will see a different UI. But since we have installed the FBA version, it's going to give us JSON. So that's really it. And let me just do one real quick changes in route.file route here, so you might know what's going to happen here. Let's say changed. So this is one stupid problem I face. Okay, so I think it's solved. It's just it keeps updating. So it has updated. Change to. Yeah, it's updating. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, you're getting an error because this route is no longer exist. So we need to create this one. So that's really cool. Okay. So in the next video, I will be configuring the AdonisJS more, and then we will start creating the APIs from user registrations to login to the process. Okay. And then we will start with the nuxt.js frontend. So if you are not quite familiar with AdonisJS, it's totally fine. You will be able to learn that really easily. And if you have questions, don't forget to go ahead in our Facebook group, Development with Epifile Lab, and ask your questions there. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Have a nice time. Good day.